And as we are ready to load into Summoner's Rift, I hope you guys are ready, because to Mapua Gaming Society Mages versus the Orgless.
Yeah. And don't forget to share this stream, everyone. Everyone who wants to watch the game, just use the hashtag muling lumakad matatag and hashtag SIBOL powered by Smart, because this game has been quite exciting so far. Orgless versus Mapua Gaming Society. It's like a deja vu onto a lot of the collegiate games that we have, and we're gonna be seeing who's gonna be winning and advancing onto the lower brackets.
One step closer to going on to that upper bracket matches, no, laban sa, I believe, let me double check the brackets, but it is West Point and Scambalo waiting up there as well. So, and also another thing, no, medyo importante itong game na to for Orgless. Kasi if you look at it, I believe in the brackets, magkabilang bracket sila ng LG Hydra, no. So yung LG Hydra yung against Beast Friend mamaya. Parang gusto nila ng collegiate championship rematch dito.
Exactly. Yun talaga yung gusto nila gawin. If ever they get the win there, and if ever LG would be able to get out. But no, this friend is the one who took down Orgless onto the lower bracket. So it's a big challenge then to get away here.
Pag boy beast friend talaga.
Oh, boy beast friend talaga yun.
But here we have Mapua Gaming Society and Orgless once again. No big invades. I don't think they want to go for any big risks right now. But here I'm expecting Irix to be the bash or be the flag bearer here for Mapua Gaming Society. Get those early ganks out. Sobrang dali. Audacious charge into 3 Talon Strike should, in theory, be an easy kill here on, let's say, Liu Mark or Kaito in the side lanes here.
Yeah, that's why it's been a trend din talaga in a lot of regions. Shinzao being in the jungle, because of the advantage that it gives in the early game. It's the way that it's super good is because sobrang daling bigyan ng advantage ng bot lane just because of one gap. And that's exactly what they want Irix to do here. If ever, with the rotation that he had, he started on the top side. He really wants to go and put the eggs in the bot lane basket. He depths to and they admit.
And I'm going to be expecting a lot here from Depsu, because usually nakita si i-release si Depsu nagpa-pop off dito. I want to see that happen here. They're trying to establish some form of priority here in the lane. So yeah, we're gonna see Shadow Bliss, of course. Expected naman na ganito yung matchup dito sa top lane. Shen versus a fighter. Unless getting taunted under tower, like that could have been really bad if Shadow Bliss got taunted under tower. Usually it's going to be the Wukong getting on the head. Eagle going for the ghost here as well. Depsu in a pretty bad spot, has to flash over as mid now. Trap behind enemy lines here, split apart. Flashes over to Sauce. Leomar gets the dunk onto Ego, and now MGS is the one on the offensive. Aerolek coming in as well. He still has his flash to go for any surprise pickoff. Death Ray just gonna hit onto Kaito Ego here, or onto Duckman here. That is going to be no kills, no first blood just yet. Good response there from Mapua Gaming Society.
Yeah, it's a good thing. No deaths. A lot of summoner spells have been down, especially on both of the bot lane. Talagang wala na silang summoner spells on both ends. Kaya later on the next gank, if Ego, Basa is waiting for here, never really have a chance. But look at that, Irix is still hovering in the bot lane. So if ever, will have a chance to go for a gank.
Yeah, you really have to leverage the early games of the Xinjiao. It's similar in a way to Lee Sin, na kailangan mo talaga i-leverage your early game. Admit, gonna try and go for something. Talagang ipipwersa na dito laban kay Basa. Not gonna be getting too much from that. If they do shove this in though, they could actually, this might just be a play to give Admit and Defsu a good back timer, no? So after this wave finishes, siguro maybe get their first big item component here after the recall.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on how. Yeah, I'm kind of curious on how Leomar is going to itemize on this game, because there is a change in 12.4 in where you're incentivized if you go for a flip build. But so far, we have seen a lot of Triforce to Hydra build that has been going around for Zeri. Kasi yun talaga yung nag-work eh. That's what's working. That Zeri just zooming around, dealing damage. Minuscule damage, but she's moving around really fast. But with this new patch, let's see on what Leomar is gonna do.
I'm really seeing a lot of like the old Trinity Force spells. Admit with the Hex Flash. trying to go for something onto Duckman, forcing the recall. This should give Early his own back as well. But Orgless uses his time to pick up the Hex Tech break here. Get a little bit of that ghost stacking going on. That was pretty much uncontested as well. But yeah, going back to the Zeri pickup on... Okay, it's still going to be the same Triforce build. I really want to see like Kraken Slayer be picked up by these Zeri players as well. Like, go for the crit, you know, as I do think that is in a better spot right now. But if you're going for a little bit tankier, like a Zeri that can really be a big annoyance while still being dealing lots of damage, I think Triforce is still a pretty good build. It's by no means garbage, right? It's still viable.
Yeah, but the problem with that build nakita ko so far is that she doesn't deal a lot of damage, but with the overcharge, that every time na nag-overcharge siya, that is when she pops off. And that's the reason why they're still in Triforce build is still just as good. But I just thought that because of the composition that they have right now, they don't have a lot of damage to work with unless Duckman gets the third item that he has. If ever he's gonna go with the Triforce build. So that's
I think they're gonna be playing for that.
Yeah,
I mean, Duckman is always in the calculations of Orgless. Since he's such a big part of their winning combination, I think every single like itemization, kung ano yung paprioritize ng objectives, laging nasa calculations nila. So I feel like okay, Leomark is okay with the old build here, Heartbound Axe onto Sheen, and si Duckman na yung bahala for the big bursts of damage later in the game. No? So I think it's still overall worth. Especially since Shadow Blitz and Irix are gonna be wanting to go in, right? So I think being fast and being a little bit tanky is gonna be good here for Leomark.
And especially, good thing that you pointed that out. Because looking at the composition right now, what they want to do is sustain a lot in fights. Looking at the Shinzao, the Wukong, then on the other side, have a lot of ways to sustain during the fight. So long extended fights for sure you might hit natin during this whole game for MGS and Orgless.
So yeah, I'm super excited for when they put those pieces together. Right, you know, so right now though, with the first Drake being taken pretty early, the next big one we're gonna be seeing, and I do think we're already seeing it here as a gank topside. Irie is trying to pressure out Kaito. Kaito should be fine. Still has his splash as well. Now that he's gotten his Thornmail component with the Lambo Vest here, should let him survive a little bit longer against Shadow Blitz. Give better trades to him as well, especially since Shadow Blitz won't be regenning as much, and possibly set up for the Rift Herald. They might even just ignore the Rift Herald here and just cruise along the game here.
They're really not going for it. The good thing that Orgless was able to get that first Drake a while ago, which was not contested in any means, and that's just because of how the Udyr and also the rotations that they had during that time. It was perfect timing talaga for their side. So what they want to do here, Mapua Gaming Society, find a way to get the success gank in the bot lane if ever Depsu gets the items that he needs. After the first item, that might be the chance na makapag-contest na sila for the next one. Yeah, I'm looking at how this is gonna go. It's just that when it comes to the Herald, talagang they wanted to go for it. They're waiting for a chance to pounce on it if ever they have to. Ego is already positioned on this part of the map just so that they can take the City of Herald. Having the Bambi in there just helps out, especially with the wave play that they can have right now. And right now, look at this bot lane though. Irix might be going for a gank, which is really what we were waiting for since a while ago. If ever he gets this scuttler in the bot lane, then he goes in. And if ever, this might be it. So if ever Orgless would try to go and make sure that their bot lane is safe. It's a good thing that they pushed back here. Mapua Gaming Society was able to push back this lane, so that's why Orgless is on a safe place on this gank that they can have here. So if ever, let's see on how this is gonna go. They're really hovering around bot lane. If ever, they can go for this next objective. So let's wait for the chance for them to get that. Casa is positioned well for this. If ever Ego comes in here, you need to be careful. They need to find a way to get in. Look at this Basta going in with a face breaker, but nobody's here to help him out. And Showstopper's in! And that's going to be the damage coming in. They have the flash to work with. Most of there's the package, but it's not going to be effective. Darkman trying to do the damage, and this is going to be it. Admit is going to back away, and they weren't able to get it. OG. Orgless was able to back away.
Oh, trying to go in as well. Look at that huge damage coming in, and that's the first big fight that MGS wants. You're taking a lot from the turret though. Duckman eerily coming in, hoping to kill on this Duckman. Does not get it, but they are a full 5-man here, being able to take 2 of the members of Orgless. They are going to be setting up here for the Drake. This should go uncontested.
Yeah, that is really good. They have been able to take the Cloud Breaker, which is really nice, and that's going to give them at least a bit more of when it comes to the ganks that they're going to be having on the next one. But during that fight, MGS, especially with Admit getting in with that Magnet Sword, was able to get it. Orgless, they used a lot of their flashes, a lot of their utilities during that time, and because they weren't able to get it, they were just punished by MGS.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, no? Na kailangan mas mag-effort yung Orgless para i-put together yung puzzle pieces ng comp nila. Meanwhile, Mapua Gaming Society, yung margin of error nila medyo malaki. But even then, they were able to layer yung CC nila. They were able to, okay, at this point, ipamagnet storm natin si Admit, and then we can go all out on the damage with early and depths.
Yeah. And yun talaga yung hinihintay natin dito. If ever Mapua Gaming Society, Kraken Slayer, they built a Kraken Slayer in Defsu, so that is how confident they are on how Defsu will be able to run around during the map. They didn't off with the Gale Force, which is the usual pick off, because it's easy to target a Jinx with this composition. But with this might be interesting though. They might get punished, or they might be successful with this Kraken Slayer pick off.
Feeling ko okay lang naman yung Kraken Slayer pick up dito. I do think that right now, he doesn't need. I think he's confident enough not to have the Gale Force because he has all the tools here to keep himself alive. He has Admit to help him out, and I think with the way they're playing and with how Orgless is playing, how they draft.
With the way that they're playing, it's really easier nga for Defsu to be able to fight around with the Jinx that they have right now. So if ever, I mean, they have a lot of ways to get away. I mean, we have Shinzao, we have the Wukong to help them out. We even have the Irali with the stun. So it's really easy for him to fight around. If ever they would be successfully able to do it. But Orgless, still, they might have a chance here. They might punish that build if ever Ego would just run in, get the bonk on Defsu, and that might be a problem later on for MGS. And yeah, looking at how this is gonna go, it's just that OG Orgless is just going for a Rip Herald push in the mid lane. Mapua Gaming Society was able to put that off, but in the top lane, looking for fight there, but the Rip Herald in the mid lane will just be happy. Irali will just be happy taking a lot of his platings in the mid lane. And that's during the last time, 14 minutes on the clock, and we don't have the platings right now in the game, and this is gonna be hard. Having that extra advantage onto the Victor Dorky matchup with the mid lane will just opt him to have better items later on. So MGS, the advantage, they have a 3k gold lead, still easy to chase though, but at this point of the game, it's a really big advantage. Orgless, you need to find a way to maneuver around the map on this next objective, especially. It will take a bit of time, but whenever they would be able to find a way to use their composition in their favor. Remember, they're not a front to back composition, because most of them would just find a way to get into the fight and out. That is basically their composition. MGS would have a better chance at that in protecting Defsu. So Orgless needs to find a way to disrupt the positioning, especially of Mapua Gaming Society. They were able to do that during the last game. With this composition, it might be a bit harder compared to how they did that. So, might be a challenge. I hope they're up for this. So let's see if they are going to be able to do that. Orgless is just hovering around the map, waiting for a chance, but getting this mid lane turret for the side of Mapua Gaming Society is just a really big advantage here. I mean, getting a turret is in itself would just help them out later on. Orgless, let's take a look at this if they are going to be able to do this. And I'm really excited for them to be able to go for a fight while we're waiting for Hyro to come back. This is going to be the next objective to come out before we go in. So 60 seconds on the clock. Orgless, they're waiting, they're positioning themselves. But again, a thing that you need to think about whenever it comes down to this, MGS positions themselves on the second, on this next one. So with the Oracle lens that they have, Orgless would see them, but with this, it's gonna be hard for Mapua Gaming Society to get in, because there's a lot of words to get in, there's a lot of vision. So let's take a look at how the Dragon is gonna go here. So if this is gonna be the fight, everybody is waiting for them here. They're gonna be trying to go get OG. They're really starting with this pick. We're able to first one though. Dragon, Colonel Jake, very consistent. Jake, the package just came in at mid, and now getting started to go in. That is the back cover the back line. Leo might gonna fall down, and that's gonna be the kill already onto their side. They weren't able to get anything. No, Ego might be the next one, but this is really unfortunate. Defsu was able to make use of what they had during that time.
Yeah.
And that's the last one standing.
Ooh.
That's gonna be the kill. That's an ace in favor of Mapua Gaming Society. That was a perfect setup. Orgless wasn't even able to answer if it's just for a bit.
Oh no, that is huge for Orgless, and once again, this is the power of the comp here from Mapua Gaming Society. Once they get you in a situation where you have to force a 5v5, Mapua Gaming Society can just run them over. And Orgless, yes, they have the tools to try and counter that. They have Kaito to try. They have Kaito to try and defend either Duckman or Leomark. The biggest thing here for me is that the Udyr pickup, I don't think meshes well with the rest of the comp. Because when you go for Udyr, like, you want a stun bot, you want a solid frontliner that can deal AoE with Phoenix Stance plus Phoenix Stance plus the Sunfire Aegis, but it's just not happening because Mapua Gaming Society doesn't let fights last long enough for the Sunfire damage to ramp up and for Ego to really get the most use out of repeated bear stances. So that's the biggest thing I'm saying is missing from Orgless, is something to let Kaito worry about Leomark and Duckman, right? Like a frontliner that can give a little bit of room for Kaito na, okay, since merong akong solid frontline, pwedeng si Duckman tsaka si Leomark yung focus ko instead of trying to engage with a taunt.
Yeah, and that is the reason why they have been losing all these fights, is because they don't have any way to get in. Yes, they have, as we said a while ago, they don't even have any damage at this point in the game, kaya they won't be able to contest the next objectives that are gonna come. But MGS, they got that in the bag, even though it's not a very tanky version. Look at this, Basa going for a gank here.
Yeah, going for the gank here as well. Just skipping the clone here, going straight for Shadow Blitz. He does not have any of his tools to escape here, but once he has another clone, nice spacing with the Cyclone there for the knockup onto Basa. Might even get the kill, but no, that is going to be the Haymaker, letting him live. That was very optimal spacing there for Shadow Blitz. Just for a split second, walk back to make sure he's in range for Cyclone. That is, in the heat of the moment, that is pretty impressive, and this gives enough room for Irelia and Irix to just go for the top side while surviving for a bit longer in his bot lane. Duckman could still force him out, but this is giving a lot of time here for Mapua, and they might actually be going for the Rift Herald before it despawns here.
Yeah, the tower pressure that they have here on the map, it's just like they're taking over a lot of the places that Orgless would have been able to if they had at least a bit more damage and even a better jungle pick here. So that's why it's really hard for them to get anything. So now MGS is just capitalizing on the mistakes of Orgless, and they're able to take this tower pressure that they have right now. Almost all of the areas here on the top side are now MGS territory, and now Orgless need to find a way to turn things around. They haven't been able to take a kill yet.
So far, that's in the wheelhouse here for MGS's comp. This is the kind of comp that you assume is ahead. Like, you don't want to go into this game even or behind as the MGS comp, right? So this is actually par for the course here for Mapua Gaming Society. Maybe like 2-3k higher than what is usual for this kind of comp matchup. So what Mapua just needs to do is just continue forcing these fights, right? They can go for more tower dives. Let's see. Yeah, if they have the outer turrets here on bot side here, they can maybe force something onto Duckman while he's trying to defend that. Yeah, especially since the Baron is up, but I don't think it's a very big objective in the first 5 minutes post 20, right? So they can force something against Duckman and then go straight for the next Drake. Could be the play here for Mapua Gaming Society to extend their lead.
Yeah, it's really hard to do though for Mapua Gaming Society to be able to do that. They need Duckman to get this a second item. Yeah, then now they have the Luden Cycle. Maybe they can leverage that advantage to use in this next fights that are gonna happen. But with Mapua Gaming Society gaining a lot of ground right now, especially that Irali has 2 items already, it's just gonna be hard for them to do anything out of this because he's just gonna zone them up. Especially that Ego and Basa, they don't have any dash though. That's why it's easy for the gravity field to stop them on their tracks.
Pretty much, not enough. Yung it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't for Gaiter it. If you use your taunt to get out of the gravity, but there's gonna be a fight though. That is going to be Basa going down immediately. No chance for a haymaker to let him survive. Ego now on the run here. And this should, with the 20-second death timers here, this should be enough for Mapua Gaming Society to secure this Drake without any contest from Orgless. They have Shadow Blitz on the top side as well, going for the split push. So this is not looking good for Orgless. 9k gold behind is way past the expectations as well, but it is going to be, oh no, they actually give it up for Orgless to get the Infernal Drake. Can they get the follow-up team fight though? It is going to be Depsu going down. Now Orgless is behind enemy lines though. Can they survive though? It is going to be eerily flashing out. Good explosion there coming in from Leomark's Overdrive. Knockup coming in from Shadow Blitz from the Cyclone, but Leomark is taking over this fight. And that is an ace coming in from Orgless against Mapua Gaming Society. I thought that after that, let's check out that replay because that is absolutely baffling to me how that started.
Yeah, look at this. Look at how they started. Yeah, look at how they started the fight. They take down Devstu. They take down the positioning of MGS. MGS is converge on each other, but because they have Leomark on the Zeri, it's easy for Zeri to use the passive to do a chain lightning every time he goes for a fight, and that's why the Tiamat, and also the speed that she has, was super effective during that fight. And that's a very big win for Orgless. They were able to get a lot of shutdown goals, lessening the gold lead to a 3k gold lead here.
That is absolutely baffling to me. Like, I know it's since Shadow Blitz is topside, it was essentially a 4v4 with Basa being taken out of the fight here for Orgless, but I did not expect Mapua Gaming Society to just completely give up their position and open themselves up to Orgless engaging upon them. Like, I would have really wanted to see how they were moving. Like, I was looking at the minimaps like, what is MGS doing? And Orgless here capitalizing on that, closing the gold gap here at that point means that we are back to on par. We are back to what is expected of Mapua Gaming Society's comp. 3k gold ahead, less than even, is normal, I would say, for this comp. And now Orgless has a very, very good spot here to get back into this game with that Baron buff.
Yeah, and it was really hard during that fight. Just because of that, that turned things in favor of Orgless right now, because Duckman would be able to jumpstart with the damage because now he's closing in on the item that he needs. If he gets the Hydra here later on in the team fights, if ever MGS would go for a front to back, that is just during the time that they're all together, and that is where the Zeri and the Corki is effective. If you're clumped together, they're just gonna take you down pretty easily.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And since Mapua Gaming Society does have a comp that kind of wants to scrap it out and going to these big 5v5 team fights, it shouldn't be hard for Leomark and Duckman to find their targets in that AoE. And if Ego can actually find himself in that brawl, in the middle of that brawl, that could be what they need here. Now that Mapua Gaming Society is forcing more and more fights, which is something I said, okay, they should do now that they're like 6k gold ahead. Now that they're 2k gold ahead, it isn't as clear cut on how Mapua Gaming Society can actually force, and because Mapua Gaming Society is the comp that kind of wants to be on the offensive, Ego can actually just skip the front lining. Without the camp tank, he does have the Sunfire Aegis. That means he can actually just try and chill in the front lines here, or not chill since Sunfire Aegis yung suot niya. Pero
yeah,
he doesn't actually need to gap close as much as we would expect on this Udyr.
yeah, and as long as MGS doesn't go to a Shieldron formation whenever it comes to the fights, it's just super hard if ever they do that. I mean, when you go to a turtle position during that fight, you're not gonna be sure who you're gonna be targeting with. There's a lot of ways to target anyone, especially Leomorc and Duckman during the fight, so they just need to focus on those two. Without those two, Orgless is basically 2 people less, or rather, I don't know what to say, but it's just hard for them to do any damage.
And yeah, if they can cut off the head of the snake, that is ideal. They do have the tools for it, to go for the straight up assassination. Not really an assassination, but you just dunk on them with Xinjiao, Wukong, and Rel, right? That is something that you can go straight for Duckman and Leomorc. They can sacrifice, they can possibly sacrifice Eerily, or either Eerily or Defsu. Like, if they lose Eerily or Defsu, or only one of them, to take out both Duckman and Leomorc, that should be a trade that they can be willing to take here at this stage of the game. And because the gold is a lot closer than it was earlier, Orgless, that margin of error is a lot smaller now. Defsu here does have a lot of gold in his hands. They just have to play around him. Here, especially for this next Drake. They can't let their backs be open here to Orgless, which, being on blue side on Drake, they do have a little bit of a disadvantage. But if they can position themselves well, they should be good.
Yeah, if they would be able to push themselves in, but as we said a while ago, it's gonna be hard. Asa and even Ego can't go in because of that.
Oh no, they split up.
They might be going for engage.
Yeah, they split up. Admit caught out of position here. Means Orgless can go straight for the 4 here. In comes the package, dealing a lot of disruption here as well. Can they finish off the rest? So Leomorc is dealing a lot of damage from behind the Drake pit here. Admit is tanking for his team. Eerily takes out Basa here. Duckman, a little bit of danger. So both supports are out of the picture. Shadow Blitz as well goes down. Leomorc gonna try and kite it out here. Eerily flashing in to get a kill onto Duckman. Irix cannot finish off Leomorc. Kaito still here. He is there to defend his marksman. Leomorc slowly building up HP from the life steal on that. Can Eerily come in? He can't get too close because Kaito is in position to go for the taunt here, but Ego right around the corner. He wants to make the play, make the hero play happen here. Gets the stun from the bear stance and gets the kill there. Mid lane getting left open. That's the decision by MGS. Give up the team fight. Have Eerily pressure Leomorc and try to get that shutdown gold, and then Defsu goes for the mid lane turret. No inhib, but this keeps the game from being completely in Orgless's favor after that fight.
Oh man, 7 turrets down for the side of Orgless, and that is really unfortunate because Defsu was able to get his position right during that time. Eerily and Defsu were positioned pretty well during the whole time, and also that fight was so scattered that wherever the damage is, that is where the success happens, and that's basically what happened there. Orgless was able to at least get more kills, which is good, and now we're down to at least a 1.5k gold lead na lang. Konti na lang, Orgless would be able to come back from this, and they have a lot of towers to take down. What's good here for MGS is they have priority on this battle.
Yeah, pero biggest thing doon, magkaiba, not on the same page yung retreat ng MGS. Admit went the bottom side of the Drake, and the rest went top. So I think Admit should have gone top. Even though he was out of position, he would have been taken out. At least the resources for Orgless would have been to try and take Admit, who was out of position, out, right? Because if he goes the southern side of Drake Pit, he might as well have already died. And because he might as well have already died, Orgless has all the resources to go for the 4 people na north side ng Drake pumunta. So still anyone's game. Orgless in a pretty good position. Mapua Gaming Society a little bit threatened here. So hopefully they'll be able to handle the pressure and have Defsu and Eerily be the bastion of hope that they need for this second game.
this is the point in where Depsu is really scary. Na. 3 items on a Jinx, that is basically almost a win guaranteed. But if ever, Depsu won't be able to position himself well, and that is where Orgless could just capitalize with this. If ever Docman would be able to try to get those rockets onto Depsu, that would be good. And that's exactly what they need. They need to cripple down Depsu if they want to win this next fight. Look at that damage.
Oh no! Sakit! Yeah, that's what I was saying kanina, no? It's okay na Leomark doesn't... I guess it's okay na Leomark doesn't deal like a buttload of damage because Duckman can actually compensate for that. And they can have Leomark as a sort of sustainable cleanup crew. No? Sustainable cleanup crew siya na kung mamatay man si Duckman, Leomark can actually just face tank everything that Mapua Gaming Society sends in because they don't have enough damage after Orgless takes out their team members. No? So, but MGS, they're still in a decent spot where if they can get a wombo combo out and take out Duckman, they have a much better chance. But once again, this is the same thing with Lee Sin earlier. Sinasabi ko kanina, Shinja was kind of like Lee Sin where you want to get ahead early because late game is not as impressive, no, from that champion. So let's see how this all plays out for this MGS. We're past 30-minute mark. There's a pretty long game for League in 12.4, so we'll see how this all plays out here for both of these collegiate teams.
Yeah, we're waiting for the next objective. The dragon is gonna come out in just a bit. I hope that this dragon would be... Yeah, they need to be careful here. The death timers are really big, so one mistake could mean the whole game for them. So need to be careful, especially for the carries. They're level 16. That's a lot of death timers for sure. So they need to position themselves well. But Docman is just shipping them down pretty easily.
Oh, if they can get a kill on Basa, Chaos Storm is a pretty big commitment here, not even getting a kill. Oh, Duckman, they get the kill on Basa. Duckman kind of out of position here, but Mid can make some space for his team here. Depsu getting excited here. That's one big kill that they can go for with no damage dealers. That should mean Depsu can pick up all of these other kills. Duckman, like a sitting duck, like a wet chicken, gets caught out of position there, and I think that has to be game for MGS. 30 seconds on the clock for the two key members of Orgless should mean the game here, forcing a 1-1 in this first matchup we have for the SIBOL national team selection.
Ooh, that was a big mistake for Orgless during that last fight. Leomark and Duckman were out of position. It's just a good thing that Mapua Gaming Society was able to get their position well, or rather their vision well. They know that they can commit onto them, and because Leomark jumped in, he dashed in onto the whole fight, and that's why they weren't able to get the win there. And it was just unfortunate that Orgless wasn't able to follow through with what they raced after. Kasi malaki masyado yung advantage sa MGS kanina, but they